And honestly, I think that's just like a part of what it means to be 25 and really getting to that point of life where you are actively not just seeing yourself change in the mirror, but you mentally feel the evolving nature of your mindset and your physical ability and what you truly believe is important in this short life. And that's what I really want to sit and talk about for today. There's some things that I want to do as an adult, and I really want 25 to be the start of the new quarter century, that when I look back into my former 25 years, I look back and I realize that it was the worst 25 years of my life. That's the vibe that I'm going for. So number one, I'm realizing that you can truly do anything you want as a grown adult. For example, one thing I've noticed, we've, as a society, turned away from the seeking of pleasure and the act of enjoying things as it is, especially in the context of trying to find pleasure for pleasure's sake. And I've realized we are missing out on a big aspect of what it means to be human in the first place, because of what it means to at least enjoy the time that we are in is very important. Because of one of the things that I realized, especially on vacation, I was feeling that there was this urge that was like grabbing at my shoulder, that was scratching at me, that I felt like something bad was about to go down. And then I realized that feeling was coming from knowing that I wasn't doing anything productive while I was away from my state, right? And that feeling of always needing to be productive and always needing to be on go is not beneficial, especially in the long term, because you feel as if you are creating that unnecessary stress that is being burrowed into your mind and stealing away from the moment that you are living at that time, right? And that's why we need to endorse the feeling of pleasure and hedonism, at least for the time being. We need to enjoy the short time that we have. Is that an indication of the recession factor that we are living in at the moment? Possibly. Could that also be the feeling of knowing that we are not going to own nothing in this short life? Maybe. But I will say, for us to be even able to look forward, we must have something at least dangling in front of us to move us towards the next day. And that's why I'm going to start really trying new foods. That's my number one thing. I'm going to start trying new foods, especially from other regions, right? So there's some Viet food that I want to be... People like to stone me in the comments because of I say I do not like pho, but I feel like there's so many better alternatives to pho. Number one, bun chow noodles. Bun chow noodle dish. It's a noodle dish where it looks, they kind of look like glass noodles to me. Let me know what y'all think. So I am very willing to try food from different regions because of not only do you get a chance to look into the cultural context of the food, but you get the historical narrative around said food, and that leads you to be able to find other things in that said culture that you can find enjoyable, take in, and at least understand when you are able to have an easy in, such as food. Because food is a thing we could all eat. We all love food. You could always indulge yourself in some very great eats, because that is a very humanistic thing to want and need. And that's one of the things I've noticed, especially when it comes to how your brain one of the things I've noticed, especially when you eat something new, you find that there's new neural pathways that start forming. And it gets to the point where as you try different things, your palate starts to grow. And as your palate grows, you start finding more things, not just savory, but you start reaching the point of trying new things in life in general. I feel like that's a small indication of how you are able to perceive other hard things in your life if you're able to try something new. And as I've been eating, right, I've recognized I hate picky eaters. Actually, not just picky eaters. People that actively just refuse to eat anything different. I cannot stand it. You go to a new restaurant and you're looking for the fries and pizza. I don't know. It makes my stomach turn and do a couple knots and flips because it feels as if it's a microaggression to me. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I feel about it. Because of what is it about this cultural food that you just looking at stubbing your nose at that feels as if you are not able to do anything that's outside your comfort. So everything else around you must. That means everything else around you just must have to conform to the small circle that you are living in at the moment. And especially if you refuse to grow that said moments, how are you else supposed to grow else in life? But next food, Bao Liao. I have a list of Viet foods that look very good to me. And it translates to sizzling pancake. I saw this one guy, he made it and then he put some pork belly inside of it. Kind of made it into like a taco, kind of is the best way I could like mentally explain it. And they put some like veggies and they put like a sauce on it too. And he dipped in some sauce. I love me some sauce, man. I love me some good sauce. But that's another thing. I also saw it at a restaurant. This guy was in at a restaurant. And I feel like as we get older, we must be willing and noticing that sometimes the appetizer is worth it. Sometimes having a little bite before the big bite is more important than that big bite to begin with, because that appetizer sets you up for something more delicious to come. And especially since the appetizers are designed to share, it becomes a communal aspect of connectivity between you and whoever that you are eating with. And honestly, another thing that I've noticed, especially when it comes to appetizers, this is gonna be a very big backed episode. I'm feeling very. Am I a little hungry? A little bit, but that's not the point of this video. Oh yeah, you'll see the timepiece. Beyond the point. The emotional transparency that food is able to bring out, because I've recognized my new favorite pastime is to go to a bar, or let me not even say bar, a nice restaurant where you could wear something nice. You could put a little timepiece on your arm. And yes, I'm gonna flash this watch. Look at it. Going to a nice restaurant. Let me listen. Going to a nice restaurant and ordering an Aperol Spritz in the beginning of spring. While Aperol Spritz, vodka, what's it called? Espresso martini, a lemon drop. Lemon drop shots are crazy. That's another thing I want to mention, especially from the resort. It was ridiculous. But beyond the point, a lemon drop. What's another good spring summery type of drinks? But basically just being out on that patio, it calls to me, especially when it's not hot, but it's not cold either. You could sit on there and show a little shoulder meat and no one tells you anything different. Yeah, that's what I need. But beyond that, I think it's a craving of the social interaction that comes from being able to go out and just having a drink with the folks. And that's another thing. You pair that little drinky poo next to a little appetizer, wingdings to share. Wingdings is hilarious. But I don't know, edamame, what's an appetizer? I don't know too many appetizers I've had. But beyond the point, little crab rangoon action. Little There's a spot that has like strawberries, or they have like basically fruits and chocolate. That's one of their main appetizer dishes, because it's like a bakery spot too that also has their leche. Fantastic. On a rooftop, you cannot go wrong. One of the things that I'm bringing into my next 25 years of living has to be, you can press anyone, anytime, no matter the age and no matter what it takes. You can press them. You need to love confrontation. I've recognized this. When you get over that fear of confrontation, you start to dip your toe in that dopamine rush that is only reserved for the happiest, most pleasurable moments in your life. Because there's something about somebody doing you wrong, and then you tell them, hey, you did me wrong. I didn't like that. And you know what? I'm going to hold you accountable for that. You are not going away from this. You will know about what you did. And it kind of reminds me, but here's another thing. I've also noticed, one of the reasons why I don't like to argue with people, I realize that sometimes people get off on the act of arguing with each other. And that's kind of why I refuse. I refuse to ever argue on the basis of facts when they don't believe those stats and statistics at all, especially when folks refuse to back up their debates or their agreements or their arguments with anything besides a feeling, because I refuse to talk to that wall. I'm not doing it. And I refuse to spike my blood pressure because you wanted to get something out of it. You wanted that dopamine rush. So it's definitely a double-edged sword, but I will tell you this, I'll stab you twice. You know the idea that like winners win? They just find if there's a way to win, that winner will figure it out. There's always a way to come out on top. And I feel like that's not only just like a mindset, but that's like a state of being, because of there's this thing that's called a winning feedback loop. I remember I was talking to my friend about this while I was away. And one of the main things that he was talking was like, well, it's really easy to go from 1 to 2 or even 1 to 1,000 than it is to go from 0 to 1, because it's kind of like a twofold problem. Because not only do you not have a land that you are building upon because you're starting from scratch, you have no help, you have no support, you have no path, no designated path to be able to accomplish the thing that you are talking about, but it's also that you recognize like, there is that pressure that comes from going from 0 to 1 because of not only is there no proof in concepts, but now you found yourself trying to prove that your ideal was right. And that is very difficult, especially in a world where you see where everybody else was right. And it kind of reminds me of like Sisyphus, where you are going to be rolling that rock. You're going to roll that boulder up that hill as high as you can. But at the end of the day, as long as you don't go from that 0, once you hit that 1, the world changes. But until then, go ahead and roll that jaw right the back. You just roll it back and try again the next day. And you just have to keep going. You have to just sit there and watch as that bird picks out your gut just for it to regrow back the next day. Because guess what? You have signed that contract with greatness. You have signed the act of not only letting the world see you be ass, but you signed that contract for people to be able to see you be ass. You asked for it. That's your thing. But then at the end of the day, you must recognize there's only one way, but there's only up from here. That's the only thing that works. And then another thing, you have to realize that not only is nobody watching, but everybody else have so much, and I mean so many and much and big and fishes to fry that you just gotta look around and just like, if they do spend that time watching me, thank you. That's all I gotta say. Shouts out to that gang. And the older that I get, the more that I realize that Anger has to be used as a tool and not a jack of all trades, especially when it comes from a place of hate. Because I'm not even going to tell you to let go of your hate. This is not the channel for it. Try and find peace. I will say that. But hates and anger are necessary tools to being an adult and being a human that is actively working towards not just goals, but working towards existence. You actively have to see something go wrong and have that anger in your heart to say, no, it should not be like that. And I refuse for it to be like that. And guess what? I hate that you try to put me in that position for me to lose like that. And that's just how it has to go. Because of anger, I feel like it lives in the same realm as the indomitable human spirits, where there's this necessary need, this obsessive need to be successful and just like moving past the moment that you are in right now. Being able to succeed at no matter what it is that you are destined for yourself. And I want to emphasize this as much as possible. I am not just talking about the capitalistic system that we are living in at this moment. That's not what I'm talking about, because guess what? Capitalism will not bring you peace. That new fit will not keep you peace. That new Rolex will not keep you peaceful. That new car will not give you peace. It'll give you a peace for a week. That it'll get you a nice peace for a week. That's what I'm gonna tell you right now. And I hope you caught that, but that's beyond the point. That's beyond the point. One of the things that you notice, especially when you go down that route of constant conflict and constantly looking for said conflict, you recognize that not only is everybody still dealing with the same things that you're dealing with, but guess what? You will find something wrong in everything in your day-to-day. And as you are looking around for everybody else, you notice that not only are you not special because everybody has been dealing with this exact problem, you go on Reddit and then you find out that 50 years ago, some 80-year-old was feeling the exact same thing that you were feeling when they also were 25. So let's just sit back and breathe and recognize every day's a battle. You just gotta win one. That's all. You just need one. You just need to stack your days, because if I can end the day shooting 4 for 7, I'm a great shooter. Hell, if I shoot 3 for 7 threes in a game, nobody could stop me. That's my opinion. No, hey, you're not stopping me. If I shot more than I missed, me personally, I'm the greatest shooter of all time. Steph don't even shoot 50% from the 3-point line. So that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it.